It's just the crushed tomatoes and the lemon juice. That's it. No salt, no water, nothing else. 2 ingredients, doesn't really get more basic than that. So here is where cooking with me is always an adventure. It was just an angry pot of very hot water. I thought I was crazy and had made it up in my mind until this. Oh my God! Why is everything I do chaotic? Hey, what's up? My name is Crystal. Welcome to our channel. In this video, I am canning up crushed tomatoes. It's super simple. I have a few different canning books, but a lot of the, oopsies, there goes the pages. I have a few different canning books, but this one, as you can see by all the post-its, is my go-to for things. Usually the flavors are pretty basic and it's all easy. I can doctor them up however I like, and so it's just my go-to book. But this is the crushed tomatoes recipe on page 354. I'm using a variety of different tomatoes, fresh from the garden. It's just the crushed tomatoes and the lemon juice. That's it. No salt, no water, nothing else. 2 ingredients, doesn't really get more basic than that. As usual, I will have the timestamps down in the description, as well as some other details if you are interested. If you like videos like this, please remember to do all the YouTube-y things, like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And with that, let's get into it. Like I said, we are using the crushed tomatoes recipe from the Ball Complete Guide to Home Preserving on page 354. So the items and ingredients I am using: a water bath canner. You do not need one. You can use a very large stock pot with a lid, just to make sure that you have some sort of rack on the bottom to prevent the jars from sitting directly on the bottom of the pot and clanking around. I also have canning jars. I'm using the wide mouth pint jars. I have wide mouth lids, or if you're using regular mouth jars, use regular mouth lids, and the bands that hold them in place. A canning funnel, ladle, bubble tool that measures headspace, jar grippers, a large pot and water for blanching the tomatoes, a bowl of ice water to cool them off after, towel for the countertop, lint-free rag like a t-shirt or flour sack towel, distilled white vinegar for cleaning the rims. I have a bunch of different tomatoes from our garden and a bottle of lemon juice. The first thing I do is bring a pot of water to a boil for blanching the tomatoes. I wash the tomatoes really well. I look for any yucky spots, and using a strawberry huller, I scrape those spots off and remove the stem, core, and blossom end if it needs it. I do this before I boil them because it makes slipping the skins off easy. I'm using the ripe tomatoes that I have on hand. Some are slicing, some paste, and that's actually a really good mixture for crushed tomatoes. The slicing tomatoes are much more watery while the paste tomatoes aren't, and it creates a really nice balance for something like this. But you can use whatever you like or have available to you. Slicing tomatoes generally have a higher water content and may make the crushed tomatoes more watery, and it's okay that that happens. It's just something to be aware of. So here is where cooking with me is always an adventure. I had my pot of boiling water ready to go for blanching, but this pot of water had been acting very strangely. It's water from our tap, which comes from a well, and it was in a clean pot on our gas stove. It appeared to be boiling hot. However, there were not many bubbles. You know, at this point, it should have been a rolling boil of water, and it was not. It was just an angry pot of very hot water. The pot appeared to be boiling hot. However, there were not many bubbles. And at one point when I took the lid off to look, the droplets of water dropping back into the pot caused an eruption of water, and the camera was not on. I thought I was crazy and had made it up in my mind until this. Oh my God!
Yeah, that's what I got scared of.
Why is it doing that? Why is everything I do chaotic? Apparently this is called superheating. After a lot of Google research, I came across a Mythbusters episode where they actually talk about it. It usually occurs with distilled water and is a rare occurrence. It's not distilled water and it's a rare occurrence, but it happened here. It's always exciting, and there you go. There's your science lesson for the day. Superheating. But back to blanching. I place the tomatoes in the hot water for 3 minutes or so, or when the skin starts to look wrinkly. and then remove them from the boiling water and place them into an ice bath. After all of the tomatoes are done, I remove the skins easily. I then cut them into quarters. At this point, I add them to the bag to store in my fridge until I'm ready to can them up. A day or so later, I am back into the canning process, and I now heat the tomatoes up on the stove. In small batches, I put them in the pot, and with a potato masher, crush up the tomatoes. I continue to do this until about 3/4 of them are crushed. Then I add the remaining tomatoes, and I do not crush them down, I just mix everything together. They will break down enough and give more of a crushed consistency to the tomatoes rather than all of them being mashed and watery. Once I have it heated through, I move the crushed tomatoes off to the side and I get my canner ready. I turn the burner on for the water bath canner to get it preheated while I am filling the jars. The first thing I'm adding to them is a tablespoon of bottled lemon juice. 5% acidity is standard in bottled lemon juice. When you juice lemons yourself, the acidity level can vary. If you opt to use citric acid instead of lemon juice, it's a 1/4 teaspoon for a pint-sized jar. I don't believe it matters too much the order that you add the things to the jars. I just prefer to add the lemon juice before the tomatoes, but it really doesn't matter. We need to leave 1/2 inch of headspace at the top of the jar. So the headspace is the distance between the contents of the jar, in this case crushed tomatoes, and the rim of the jar. That space does matter, and it will vary depending on what you are canning, so make sure to read the recipe so you know. Overfilling a jar can prevent the lids from sealing properly or siphoning. We don't want any of that, so we're going to leave 1/2 inch of headspace. You can measure it a few ways. Most bubble tools have measurements on them, or these newer canning funnels have it on the side. After a while, you can gauge it from memory by knowing how far to fill your jars, but it's always good to double check. Once the jars are filled, I clean the rims with some distilled white vinegar and a lint-free rag. You don't want any remnants of food or dust or anything on the rim of the jar. The vinegar cleans it really well, and by using an old t-shirt rag or flour sack towel, you won't be leaving any additional lint behind. Paper towels can sometimes leave fibers, so I really don't recommend using those. Then I take a wide mouth lid. We're using wide mouth jars this time, so I need a wide mouth lid. If you're using regular mouth jars, then just make sure you're to buy regular mouth replacement lids. I just wash them quickly in some warm soapy water. You do not need to boil lids anymore. After placing the lids on top of the jar, I take a band and using just the tips of my fingers, I tighten the band down. Do not crank on it or over tighten it. It's just there to hold the lid in place while they're processing in the canner. Now I'm going to go through and fill the rest of the jars. It's important to make sure that your jars are also preheated, so depending on what I'm canning, I more or less do this step. Canning tomato products is super simple because you don't really need to worry about overcooking them. like with pickles or peppers. I do need to get a new canning rack because the one I have is rusted so badly, and this other one here doesn't really fit my canner grid. So I keep the jars next to the water bath canner while it preheats, and after I fill the jars, I keep them there too. This will help to prevent the jars from having any extreme temperature changes. I don't do it exactly like this every single time. That's just how I did it this time. I then move all of the jars to the water bath canners. Make sure to have at least an inch of water over the top of the jars. I normally can look and see that there's enough, but if you're not sure, you can use the bubble tool to check. Once the water is at a rolling boil, put the lid back on and process them for 35 minutes. After 35 minutes, turn the burner off, take the lid off, point it away from your face, and let the jars come back up to temperature slightly for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, using your jar grippers, remove the jars one by one to a towel on your countertop. Keep the jars upright. You do not need to retighten bands if they're loose. And by placing them on the towel, you're not only protecting your countertop, but also any cold shock to the hot jars that could cause them to break. Then I let them sit there for about a day before removing the bands, labeling them, then storing them in our pantry. So those sat on my counter for a couple of days, and that is how they look. I've been cleaning a lot of things out of my house recently, and in doing so I found my label maker, and I got so excited and I started using it to label my canned stuff, and it's a lot simpler. This is how they look. They're a little bit watery. I used a lot of slicing tomatoes, which is why it's more watery than I would probably normally like, but it's fine. They're good. I can turn it into sauces, soups, whatever. The crushed tomatoes are great. You can turn them into a whole bunch of different things, but I'm really happy to have these. So that'll do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time. Bye.